Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak to accounting professor and researcher Mfon Akpan. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
Cool, man. And you're an accounting professor, but we're going to be talking about navigating the future of AI. And before the show started, I said, you're an accounting professor. Why are we going to be talking about AI? And you had some really good points. So tell me again, for the audience to hear, why are we going to talk about AI when you're an accounting professor?
Number one, I'm a professor. As a professor, I teach undergraduates, graduate students in the MBA program. And the foundation of my job is not to prepare students for today in 2024. I've got to prepare them for 4 years in the future in 2028 when they're graduating and going into the workforce. So number one, I got to make sure that they're aware of whatever technologies, whatever platforms that they'll need to navigate, not only now, but in the future. And AI is huge, particularly in the accounting ecosystem.
Makes sense. So you were mentioning that a lot of news came out in the past 24 to 48 hours about companies either getting invested in with AI or using AI. Can you mention those to me and explain what the news story is on that?
Well, across the board, you've got KPMG. They're partnered with Microsoft and OpenAI. PwC just announced they've partnered with OpenAI with ChatGPT. So if you think about it across the board, um, accounting firms use Windows. So that's the base.
Right.
They use Windows operating systems. Microsoft has just made a big push with their Copilot Plus PC,
I
which is
noticed that.
powered by Copilot. Copilot is powered by ChatGPT 4.0. So if you're using Microsoft products, one that I use and teach is Microsoft Power BI. If you go in there, you'll see a little button that says Copilot Preview, where you've got ChatGPT 4.0 being integrated into.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft obviously has a huge vested interest in this, right? They've spent billions of dollars, so they're trying to integrate it into everything. I mean, I'm seeing the pop-ups all the time, like, hey, try Copilot. Google's doing it also on Google Drive. I noticed they're trying to do their Gemini magic writing kind of option with AI. So let's talk about the most exciting trends that you see that people should know about, because first of all, AI is all over the news. Not everybody uses AI. You know, everyone thinks, we think everyone does, but they don't, right? We're a small subset of the population that uses AI. Billions of people are not. So if you were to say to people out there listening, here's what you should pay attention to, what would that be?
Well, you just said it. They need to pay attention to AI. It is all over the place. Billions of dollars are being invested in it. It is one of those things that is not going to go away. And there is a huge push to integrate it across platforms that we're using. And I think especially one big thing was the recent announcement with OpenAI with ChatGPT 4.0. Their 4 Omni model is free. Everyone has access to it. They have access to one of the most powerful models and all of the features that are available to it. So that means you've got a high level of language model and AI readily accessible to everyone. All you have to do is just get on your computer, your phone, and you're able to use it.
Let's talk about someone who has no idea what to do because they've never used AI. They keep hearing about it in the news. They keep seeing videos on Instagram of people using ChatGPT. They see Scarlett Johansson potentially suing OpenAI for using her voice or not. So they're curious about it, but they don't know exactly what to do with it. That's the biggest thing I find from people is, well, what do I do with it? How do I use it? And that's why people like us, prompt engineers, come in, into the fray here, where we know how to use it. We know how to utilize AI. But what would you say to someone who's never used it and say, here's what you should try to do. Here's the top 3 things you should try to do and use it in your personal life and or your work life.
Well, that's a good point because I get that question. I don't know what to do with it. I also get the one I don't want to use it. And then another one is why should I use it?
Yeah, same.
And I would say to kind of go across those three questions. Number one, um, people are talking about it. It's here. It's not going anywhere. I would say the best thing is to dip your toe in the water, if not put your whole foot in there and start using it.
Dive in, just dive right in.
Yeah, well, yeah, dive in, or at least put your toe in the water
Yeah, yeah.
so you at least are exposed to it because
But
we're
what would you when you expose yourself to it? Let's get really specific here. What would someone who's never used, let's say ChatGPT, never used it, what should be the first thing they do when they see that empty prompt?
I would say just start asking it questions, see what it does. Just learn what it does. And the thing of it is what you were we were mentioning earlier with the 4.0, there's no you don't have to sign up. You can just go to the website. You don't have to create an account. It's free. You can just start using it. So I think just going to the website, playing with it, just
Yeah,
trying.
like learn about a topic or ask it to write a story for you, or maybe you want to, get help with your homework, right? So you mentioned people don't want to use it, right? I get a lot of people like roll their eyes at me when I say ChatGPT or AI as well. Why do you think that is? Like, what are the most common misconceptions people have about AI that's preventing them from using it?
Well, they don't know much about it. And what I say to this is you don't want to use it, that's fine. You don't have to use it. However, you should learn about it. And here's why. Your friend is probably using it. Your child is probably using it. Your clients are probably using it. Your colleagues are
Your
using it.
competitors.
And for sure, your competitors are using it. So whether it's not, it may not be impacting you today directly, it is impacting you indirectly.
I'm asking ChatGPT complex formulas sometimes that I need help with,
Hmm.
figuring out equity structures and, payroll situations, funding rounds, valuations. I need to hire a lawyer for that stuff.
Yeah.
But no, ChatGPT knows how to break it down for me and ask me the right questions for me to give it the right data to then give me the answer I'm looking for. And it's always right. They say there's sometimes it's wrong. Sure, you got to check that stuff, but that's the stuff that's exciting to me is that it's been able to replace a lot of traditional services that I would have had to look for, whether it's real estate or lawyers or legal advice or, math advice or any kind of, creative stuff that I'm working on, like even hiring writers for certain things or hiring graphic artists for certain things. Those are all the things that I've been using it for that, I've even made videos with AI, right? So what do you think is going to happen in the future? Because you said it's here to stay. I realized that internet was this big deal, kind of blew up, and now it's been here for 20, 30 years. AI is the next evolution of humanity, but we're just seeing the surface of the iceberg. The rest of that iceberg is under the water, and when it comes up, it's going to be humongous. What do you think is going to happen, say 5, 10 years from now?
That is a good question. And I'm going to give you a good answer. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know. Now, and I'm going to tell you why. So there's two parts to that. The reason why I don't know. So you think back, November 30th, 2022, they introduced ChatGPT 3.5, right? They already trained 4.0 in August. It was already ready to
Sure.
go in
Yeah, they
August.
have internal testing, right?
Yeah, so it was already ready to go. Now you think about it, it's less than 2 years from then, and we're on 4.0 and they're training the next one.
They're up to 6 from what I understand.
Yeah, so this thing is moving faster than you can imagine. So that brings you to the second point. There's a book by Stephen Johnson called Where Good Ideas Come From. And in that book, they talk about the 10-10 rule. And what the 10-10 rule is, before, not today, before it would take 10 years to develop a technology and then 10 years for it to widely be adopted. So, for
Right.
example, you've got the color TV. It took about 10 years for that to be developed, then about 10 years for it to be widely adopted.
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore. So you think about it, in less than 2 years, they've done so many iterations of this LLM, and there's more. There's Gemini, you were mentioning, Copilot, Claude.
Perplexity, Llama. There's a dozen of them.
Yes, and you got to imagine in 2 months, they got 100 million monthly active users.
Fastest in history. It was, they surpassed everybody else. I mean, we've been waiting for this our whole lives. People seem to forget that, we grew up in a society where there was no internet, no cell phones, no computers really. It was all rudimentary kind of, and we lived in this world where we would watch movies where they had Star Trek communicators and like video holograms and, all sorts of AI, right? Now people seem to take it for granted that we're currently talking through the internet on video. AI is recording the conversation, and we have all that technology with a smartphone in our hand. We are living in the future now. And, personally, I think AI is going to be maybe robots, right? Because you see Tesla and a lot of other companies are heading in the direction of we need people to help us and assist us on daily work, lifting things, grocery shopping, watching our kids, walking our dogs, elderly, helping them around the house and things like that. If you put an AI into a robot and you have like a real assistant, that's where I think it's headed towards the future. So if you want to give advice to somebody right now to wrap things up on what they should learn about AI to get their foot in the water, like you said, what advice would you give to them today?
Well, you've got to start using it. You've got to start using it. We mentioned it earlier. You got to put your toe in the water. One of the things that I would recommend is pick a platform, because you may say, well, hey, Mfon, there's so many of these platforms, Gemini, you're naming all of these things. Find one. If you like Claude, go to Claude. ChatGPT, go to one of them. Start using it. 15 minutes a day. That's what a good friend of mine was prescribing. 15 minutes a day, start reading the blog, start watching podcasts like this one, connect with other individuals that are using it. And then once you do that, you can find ways to add it to your personal workflow, your job workflow, so you can figure out how to use it. Because once you learn how it works, then you'll know how to use it. Now, you may be saying, well, okay, is technology a friend or is it a foe? It's both. It can be your friend if you embrace it, you embrace the change, you start using it, and you start moving with it. It's going to be your foe because you're going to be behind.
You're going to be behind everybody
else. You're
else.
going to be behind, and everybody else is using this thing. And the thing you have to remember, earlier we were talking about this. I gave an example of how I used the ChatGPT app. I had about 15 students. They were all giving presentations. I was like, well, how can I use this to make this easier? I printed their first names on a sheets of paper, printed it out, took handwritten notes on their presentations to give feedback, what was awesome, quoting what they were saying, some opportunities for improvement. Then I went home with my phone, took a picture of my handwriting, what I wrote down, loaded it into ChatGPT, asked it to summarize that into feedback. It did it for me within seconds.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
I did some editing to it, and then I had it there. I added it to my workflow.
It's a time saver.
It was a time saver, but the key thing is I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't know how it worked.
Right. You have to use it in order to see what it's capable of.
Exactly. And by knowing how it works, I was able to do that.
Perfect.
By being able to do that, did I know it was a time saver? Now, here's the great thing. I did that one time. It saved me time. But when I go back and do it again, I'll be even better.
Awesome. Let everyone know where they can find out more about you, because we have to wrap up, and let us know how they can get in touch with you.
Best way to get in touch with me, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Mfon Akpan. And if you send me a message, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Check out mfonakpan.com. Appreciate it. Hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you in the next episode.